What does it mean to live creatively? Not just in what you make, but how you move, and how you dress, and how you build your world.
What does it mean to feel at home in your space, in your skin, in your purpose?
Welcome to The Maroon Life, our lives in full color, a podcast where we explore the art of creative living, from the way we style our homes to the stories we wear on our backs.
We're your co-hosts, Adrian Franks,
Nicole A. Taylor.
Two lifelong creators, curators, and culture seekers on a mission to make space for freedom, joy, and design that speaks.
We tap into soulful conversations about joy, design, self-expression, home renovation, and everything in between.
Hello, Nicole. What's going on? How you doing?
Oh my gosh. I was like, what should I say about today? Everyone is going nutzoids because a snowstorm is coming. But I'm calm. I'm doing great.
Yeah, the snowstorm supposedly hitting the majority of the country, a lot in the Northeast, ice issues down south, and a lot of snow potentially coming to the Midwest. So, yeah, apparently it's colder in Chicago than it is anywhere else in Antarctica and possibly Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. I don't like cold.
But I'm doing great.
That's good to hear. So let's get to it. You know, we want to talk about a couple of different things. I know the last episode we kind of dived into this idea of, places and spaces, or the third place environment. Well, let's bring it back home, right? Let's talk about what it means to host. Like, why does hosting matter? And why does it sometimes feel so hard to host, right? You know, a lot of people, believe it or not, don't really host a lot.
Here's the thing. I'm always really shocked when some of my most sociable friends or social friends or fun friends, the ones that are always out and about and who they bring the vibes, that they don't host. Because my assumption is they are great hosts.
Yeah, you think everybody's a social bunny like us, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I wouldn't say I'm a social butterfly. I like to be out and about, but I will say that I have mastered the art of making people feel good in my personal space. But I do think some of the reasons why people don't host is because there's this constant feeling of being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And to think about hosting is like another thing to add on your plate of things to do, people to call.
It's adulting.
Clothes to wash.
Yeah, back to clothes washing. But I mean, a lot of it is pertaining to like money stressing, parenting, caregiving. If you're taking care of an older person or a young person, people just burned out, right? It's been a wild ride for a lot of people, especially last year, or the social anxiety around that, right?
Yeah, it can be. Listen, I think about like the news cycle. One of the things that I've done to kind of decrease my social anxiety is when I wake up in the morning, I don't look at my phone for like the first hour. I'm trying to keep with my habit of the phone not being in the place that I sleep. I don't always achieve that, but like I would say 85 to 90% of the time, yes. But the social anxiety, is built up around all these things around us. And for me, I will tell you though, Adrian, I don't say it out loud to you. I know when I have a lot going on and we have a lot going on, the first thing I feel in my spirit, I get a nudge that says, have people over.
Well, does it? Okay, so I'm going to ask you that question. So having people over, is it like a little distraction from your own personal, I guess, adulting duties?
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
That is a great question. Listen, I'm gonna let people inside of like a moment last month where you were like, no, we can't host anybody. We're not inviting anybody over. May I share?
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know what it means to not like have people over, particularly at the Christmas holiday time. And our apartment here in New York was in disarray for months. It's been in disarray because of a leak. So finally we got it fixed, but the walls are still messed up from, I don't know, it's not perfect. And so we've been in the process of putting the apartment back together. But I was like, bump that. I want to have people over. And then I went to the next phase of, oh my gosh, let's paint. So I started getting a painter. I had a conversation with the interior designer. Like, I became obsessed with getting the place perfect to host people for the holidays. And at the same time, I have a manuscript that's still past due.
Yeah.
Even at the moment that we're talking right now.
And at the same time, I had a fractured foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all these things were going on, but all I could think in my head that would make it better is having friends over. And you basically was like, hey, love, I think we should forgo hosting anyone. You need to focus on your book and we should let people invite us over.
Yeah.
And I released it. I was like, oh my gosh. But I do think that was a distraction from a lot of things that was happening around me. And it's something now when you pose that question, I think a lot of times I have a dinner party or invite people over because it does kind of soothe. It's like a salve. It kind of soothes something for me, and it is a distraction.
I mean, listen, that was just a random thought. I'm not saying that's what it is.
I agree with it, though.
But, I do think sometimes having different perspectives in your proximity, that helps, right? It helps you to sometimes work through some things. I know you're still finishing your book, but and the ideal of hosting, well, it makes sense. You're kind of testing out recipes. You're kind of getting a feel for what people like, what they don't like. It's kind of like research in real time. But I do think, hosting overall for a lot of people, it can be intimidating. It can be something, it can be somewhat of a roadblock for people and not as joyful for people like ourselves.
But people want it. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. Like, people are super freaking lonely. I think people want to be invited, but I don't think people want to put in the time to tap into their feelings to host. Because not only is it an art form, but you got to have a
level of intentionality.
It does have to be super intentional. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I mean, you and I have said it all the time. Like, you have to set the intention of, hey, I want to connect with someone in a way that is a little bit deeper. You know what? I'm going to order some lemon pepper chicken wings from Popeyes and some nice champagne, and I'm going to have some people over. That is super intentional. And it's a low lift because you're not even cooking anything.
That's
you're
true.
Literally like getting 2 deliveries or picking up 2 things.
That's the James Brown recipe. I remember stories of Christian McBride talking about how James Brown invited him over, I guess, to his dressing room, which is a form of hosting, right? And it was eating hog mugs and champagne, right? It was like the weirdest combination. But yeah, I mean, listen, so if somebody wants to invite you to wherever they at, I mean, that is an opportunity to connect with people and host, right?
Yeah, because I'm kind of, people are talking about they're lonely. I mean, that is the conversation. People are lonely. We're not connecting more. I think you have to truly, you got to just do it. You got to jump out on a ledge. Don't even be thinking about my apartment is not together.
Right.
You can't, you just got to do it. And listen, so finally I had someone over MLK Day. We invited some friends over very last minute. A set of our friends, they had to cancel. They had something else going on, but somebody else came over. I don't even think she realized about the sheetrock issue that was on the wall because
didn't even matter.
We ate food. We watched some crazy YouTube videos. We had commentary about the randomest things in fashion. And she stayed 2 hours longer than she wanted to stay. So it worked out.
Totally worked out. And hey, we didn't talk about Diddy. That was great.
We didn't talk about Diddy. We didn't talk. I don't even think did we even talk about our president? Our current president. I don't think
we're going to talk about him just because it's just what it is. But we didn't make that a center of the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Also, too, and it's funny. Let's talk about how I sent out a last minute invite. Like,
right.
Friends, who do you invite over? Because I made a pork shoulder. I was testing a pork shoulder for my book. It was actually the original recipe is supposed to be a pork roast.
Right.
Rib roast, which is very fancy. But I was like, let me do a pork shoulder. I just want to kind of just test out the flavors with a pork shoulder. It's a less expensive cut of meat. And it's a lot of meat. So I wanted to invite someone over. But you and I started going through the whole social reality of our life, of our new social reality of how so many of our friends have...
well, they left. They're no longer here in New York, or they're not, definitely not in Georgia. But, we mostly live here in New York. So a lot of people have left the city, right? A lot of people have changed lifestyle. Some people are not as social as they used to be. They, and obviously some people just don't eat pork. Well, that's a given. But hey, whatever.
But I'm always accommodating with the food thing. So,
but I do. Yeah, you're very accommodating. Me, I'm like, bring it on, and we'll figure it out. I don't really get too hung up on it. But you're more the social, hoster. And listen, I host a lot before we started dating, but I do think you are a lot more accommodating with that. But back to the subject, I do think. Post-pandemic identities have changed for a lot of people. And, these fragmented kind of groups of people have more or less have taken on, like I said, new identities or new dispositions in terms of being around people. Or just, some people are just, they're just nesting all the time. They're kind of like socially awkward.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that the pandemic or the post-pandemic, people got very used to being like, I'm going to stay at home and binge Queer Eye. And so they will stay at home for 6 to 7 hours, make their food, and binge an entire TV series. And that is like a norm now. Right. So they would rather just stay at home and binge instead of coming to a party. And so people done fell off. And I will also say something that I see is you invite people and they don't respond back, or you invite them numerous times.
Well, it's been like a ghosting phenomenon.
Yeah, people ghost. And for me, for 2026, what I've said, I got 2 invitations in the last week from people I would say who are acquaintances or friends. One was for an art show coming up in a few weeks, and another one for something next week. And I made a point to... not saying that I haven't done this in the past, but I made a point to respond and say why I can't come. It's like a courtesy thing. I said, hey, thank you so much for the invite. I can't come because I'm on cookbook deadline.
Right.
Then the other one was for an art show for a friend, an old friend. I was like, her husband's art show, excuse me. I said, I put it in my calendar. Mm-hmm. We have a few other things going on that day, but I'm going to try to come. And if I can't come, on that day, I've made a note to say, I hope everything went well. Send me some photos. Just trying to not show up and not engage.
Well, being human.
Yeah. And I think that we are kind of rebuilding our social skills and communicating with people. Even me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think a lot of people are trying to rebuild social skills over these last couple of years because, hosting... The ideal of hosting is, it feels laborious. It feels like everything has to be perfect and if you're not talking about the age of like Instagram where everything is a photo op, it's content opportunities or whatever, everything has to be perfect. And, me as a creative, I feel like the ideal of trying to be perfect in like an intimate environment, that's not the point of hosting. The whole point of it is to kind of, it can be random cool things. It could be highly curated or whatever. But the goal here is to really connect with people that you love.
It is.
And
people don't
that you're
care.
Cool with, and just more people you may want to get to know better, right? So I do think it don't necessarily have to be overly planned. But that depends on the individual.
Well, listen, this is the thing that I realize and I encounter a lot of times because I'm a quote unquote food person. I think people get so nervous of inviting me somewhere where food is going to be there. And when they get there, they're like, oh my gosh, I hope you like it. And I'm just like, guys, I'm not even here. I'm not here for the food. I'm not paying attention to the food because I'm going to be honest with y'all. Here's a little secret. Anytime I am coming to someone's house for the first time or I've never really tried your food or I've tried your food and I'm like, I don't know if they can cook or not, I'm going to eat before I come.
And for me, Food is just for me to be able to drink. So I'm not like, now, trust me, I like a good meal. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer a better cocktail than a meal.
Yeah, I'm not ever gonna come to your house. I'm not even really thinking about your food that much. I'm just simply thinking about catching up. I mean, I'm one thing I am going to pay attention to, because I grew up in the South where people always ask you, would you like some water as soon as you came in the door? Would you like some ice water? That would not, do you want tea? Like, I grew up
Ice water is so Southern.
It is. Would you like some ice water? Would you like some water? So I grew up with that being like ingrained in me. As soon as someone comes in the door, you need to ask for that. So I do pay attention to, is a person doing that or not? But I ain't paying attention to your food. I'm really not paying attention. I'm not even paying attention to your wine or beer. Would I like to have that? Sure. But I'm not paying attention to your food, which leads me to say, just go ahead and just host people. Don't make it a big thing about your sofa got a dent in it,
right,
or your place is too small, or you don't have enough this. I'm gonna already ate before I get there.
Well, it's another funny thing. If you look at the historical context of hosting, a lot of Black people, I'm just talking, I mean, I'm sure you can apply this to more other ethnic groups, but I'm just going to talk about Black folks. A lot of times that being that we couldn't really hang out in third place environments like a bar or certain spots that was kind of like, a social hangout, those spaces wasn't necessarily created with us in mind. I mean, you just think about all the older people in your family. A lot of times they entertain each other at each other's houses, right? So that was hosting. Wasn't even like a hosting thing. Like, oh, I'm going over such and such house. I can remember my grandmother, Gussie Cochran, God bless her. Her and her first cousin, Ernestine Jackson. I mean, every Friday they're at each other's house, right? Mostly mother, or we call my grandmother mother. But she would go to their house every Friday. She'd stop at the Sweet Auburn Curve market in downtown Atlanta, pick up a big thing of fish because, she loved fish, cornmeal, and ride the 42 Carver homes to, where
I'm mad
Ernestine
that
lived
you know
at.
the bus
I know all
numbers
the buses.
in Atlanta.
You ask me any
still.
bus in Atlanta, I would tell you all the numbers and where they went, right?
That's crazy.
But she would catch the 42 Carver homes or the 42, it was like another name for it as well. But she'd get off and they'd cook fish, and it'd be enough fish for everybody there, including all the kids. We eating fish on the ground on newspapers, and they sitting there smoking cigarettes, talking about old times and watching stuff on TV, right? Whether it was like Price is Right or some, other random.
Just being with each other.
Yeah, all right. And they'd play cards, but every Friday was an opportunity for Ernestine to host not just my grandma, but the family in general and other friends. So hosting for them was like literally going to each other's house. That was part of the ritual, right? Yeah. And, Saturday, make barbecue, Sunday at church, and then doing whatever, right? But going to each other's houses was like the thing. That was the hangout. That wasn't like, oh, I'm intentionally hosting. It was just what they did.
Yeah, and also too, when you tell that story, I've heard that story a million times. The things that pop up for me is they weren't hosting to entertain people.
Yeah.
They were hosting to be around people, to gather their family, not to entertain people. And I think, a lot of times in the cookbook world or my world of, lifestyle, what have you, people like to say they're entertaining. I don't necessarily think that I'm entertaining people when I invite them into my home. I'm hosting them with the intent of gathering. And I got to say that to say one thing too. I'm also not that girl that like, you don't see people who come to my house on my social media. No shade, but there are some people like every time they got a dinner party, they got to show a whole damn picture of who's there. That's awkward to me. I think it's awkward. It's a bit like invasive. Yeah. I don't even really, I have a log. So just to say this, for the last, I don't know how long, I guess 15, maybe 20 years now, I write down who's at my party or dinner or whatever I'm having, what I'm making or what I intend to make. Sometimes it doesn't even make, I don't even make every single thing there. And sometimes I'll have like the shopping list on there. Mm-hmm. But sadly, and maybe not sadly, I don't have a picture. I also think that the entertaining definition of hosting I mean, I just probably screwed that up. But hosting and entertaining don't equal. And I think entertaining is when people got to put all this content on freaking social media. When you're hosting people to get to know them, you don't have to pull a phone out.
Yeah,
You don't have to post it online.
You wanted to feel like, you're creating permission for people to gather, right? I mean, you look at some of the, people in the past, definitely from like the civil rights era, they would host at each other's house to plan out marches or plan out certain types of things that they want to execute on in terms of, doing things for the community or doing things from a broader cause, right? But overall, they did that to more or less just to be in community with each other. So if you think about hosting this going forward, how do we start really shifting hosting to be not so awkward, but it can be a little bit more inviting and it can be a little bit more social? Like, what do we do to kind of make those things happen?
I mean, I'm going to think about, for me, one of the things that I can do to improve how I host is and I said this in a previous podcast too, is to invite people I don't know well to my house, to my space. I think also for a person who's very controlling in the kitchen, I wouldn't say controlling. I have very...
No, you're controlling.
Well, let me say, I have a very clear and
most
ideas of how I want the meal, the wine, how everything to go. And I think for me, I have to let go of that a little bit.
Yeah.
To enjoy myself, because there are a lot of times when I host where I can honestly say that I haven't fully enjoyed the meal that I've cooked or prepared, nor the people, everyone in the room, because I'm too busy hosting. So I think one of the things that I have to let go of as I host in 2026 is being so perfect.
Right.
Being so perfect. And maybe asking someone when they say, can I bring something? My immediate response is no, or I'll say, oh yeah, maybe if no pressure. I always say no pressure, but bring beer or wine. But I should just say, you know what? Yes, if you could bring a baguette, that would be great.
Bring some ice.
I mean, not even
Bring
ice.
some champagne.
I think
for me, bring champagne. You can never not have enough of that.
Well, yeah, I'll tell people bring beer and wine, and I always say no pressure. Or most people in our orbit will bring it. Or sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to put that pressure on people. If I know them personally and they've been laid off, I don't want them to go all out of their way. Or they have a small kid.
Right.
I don't want them to go all out of their way to get a bottle of wine, because I know sometimes that can be another 20 minutes onto your day. But I think if it's someone that I know and I've given them enough notice and I'm hosting, I need to say, you know what? Would you bring a dessert, please? Are you okay with bringing a dessert or making dessert instead of me having this long list of things that I'm trying to do? Or at least bring a pound cake or cake or something, and I can make my, what I love to make is to put together a DIY ice cream sundae. Fancy ice cream sundae.
I mean, straight up, if anybody bring a key lime pie, you cool with me, because I just cannot.
That's his favorite.
That's my favorite. I'm not even gonna hold you.
So what about you? What are the things as a host, because we're always co-hosting,
right?
And we've kind of mastered it. We've talked about that a little bit, but what are the things that you would bring into the fold in 2026 to be a better host?
Well, besides bringing myself, because I'm always the life of the party, I would say that try to have a certain sense of intentionality, right? Like, hey, I want to invite these cool people and do this cool thing. And I think we do that all the time, right? Like, hosting for the holidays is different than hosting for like Thanksgiving or Juneteenth, or hosting for like celebrating certain moments that we may have accomplished, such as, any kind of new article you've released or some new artwork I'm like working on, or some kind of celebratory kind of thing. Like, that's a certain level of intentionality, and that kind of, more or less dictate who you're going to invite, right? I do think making sure that things are more manageable is kind of like the idea, because now we're working with certain people who got kids, certain people who don't have kids, some people don't do well around kids. So I try to be very mindful of, at any given moment, we're going to have people with kids So some people are not very idea for being around kids.
Or they just don't know what to do when kids are running around.
Yeah. I mean, kids are going to be kids. They're going to be loud. It's just what it is. So, yeah, as I was saying, most people just don't mix well with that. But I think to kind of close that off, the goal here is to kind of look at hosting as either a form of leadership, a form of care, as well as a form of just community architecture, right? How do you build people and build community around the idea of hosting?
Yeah, just do it. I mean, you gotta just take the leap of faith and host. And more so, listen, hit me up. Maybe I can be your hosting coach. That's an idea. Ding, ding, ding. I can be your hosting coach. I should create a whole class or a whole session of like how to host 5 people at your house. And I should say that. Let me be very clear. Guys, you don't have to have a house full of people at your apartment or at your house to host. You can literally invite another couple over and order Thai food from your favorite Thai spot and create a playlist. And that's hosting. So I would say take the leap of faith and just do it. Inbox me, DM me, call me. I will, for a fee, be your hosting coach. Maybe that's a new business. That's a new stream of income.
Nothing wrong with that.
But do it. I do think that it for sure cures loneliness. It is medicine and a great distraction when you are stressed out and busy to be around other people and to feel the love and to hear their voices.
Oh, and also, hey, hosting don't have to be at your own home. I mean, you can host people at a cafe.
You can.
You can host people wherever you reside, right? So, I look at it at home is where the heart, and your heart travels wherever you go. So it don't have to always be your home, but home is a great place to host great people and great community.
I agree wholeheartedly. We should do a whole episode of how we've hosted happy hours. I think we are going to talk about happy hours, but how we've hosted happy hours, not at our house, but at bars and invited people, and how we've hosted like coffee meetups, not at our house, but elsewhere. Let's do a whole episode about how we host happy hours.
Now, this is part 1, guys, and at some point, part 2 is of this how to host people or what it means to host is going to come out. And we're going to include different things, right? Like the playbook that Nicole is talking about, formats of different types of ways to host. Maybe there's a kind of, playbook or script to go along with that, as well as systems that you can use when it comes to hosting and figure out which one best plays out for you.
So that's it, people. That is the show. Thank you for listening. I know I've gotten a lot of texts. I'm not going to say a lot, but more than a handful of texts saying great episode. Thanks for listening. If you like it, please pass it along to folks you think might feel like, this is interesting. Or if you have a Substack or some kind of newsletter, hey, mention us there. We'll be back. Our next episode, we're going to kind of give you a full playbook of how we host. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Adrian.
No problem. Like, love, and share, peoples, and we talk soon.
All right. Peace. Talk to you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Maroon Life, where creativity meets culture and joy. Part of the Caffeine Media Network. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen.
Looking for creative inspiration? Graphite Pro Radio explores the intersection of design, culture, and innovation, one conversation at a time. Join us for deep dives into the creative process and game-changing ideas. Start listening today.